Hello and welcome to episode 106 of the She Must Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. How have you been, guys? Oh my goodness, I think it's been about a month since I last recorded, and it's been a while since I've gone that far between recordings, but for the longest time it just felt like I had absolutely nothing to show you. I've been working on the same projects day after day after day. Actually, I can't even say day after day after day because there was a lot of days where I just wasn't knitting at all. But yeah, it just seemed like no matter how much I was able to knit, there wasn't much different than what I had shown you in the last episode, so I just didn't see the point in sitting down and sharing what I had for you. But for some reason, this past week, I feel like just in this week alone, I've made so much progress on things. So I figured today might be a good day. Dennis is upstairs working. Avery is on the computer. The baby is napping. I've got the monitor in front of me so I can just, make sure she stays sleeping. I put some seeds outside by the front window for the chippies and the chickadees to keep Mr. T busy because you know how he loves to join us when I sit down. I've got my cold coffee now ready to go. All my projects are laid out, so I think we can do this. So what do I have for you today? We are going to do the monthly winner for July. I've got 2 finished objects for you. That's exciting. Plus I've got a new cast on. Actually, I think I have 2 new cast ons. That hasn't happened in a while either. And then I have my goals update. And then I think at the end, I might throw in a little video of Kira for those who might want to see her. I know I do post pictures of her over on Instagram, but if you don't follow me there and you're wondering how she's doing, I have a cute little video that I will put up at the end. So let's get started with the monthly winner. I do not want to forget that. So if you are a new viewer, what I like to do is every month I take the comments that were made during that month on any video. I also take any orders that were placed in my shop during that month, and all the comments and all the orders count as an entry, and then I take those entries and I do a random number generator and I pick one person who wins a $20 coupon to my shop. So it's just my way of thanking you for engaging in my content and supporting my shop. So the winner for July is Sandy Donaldson, and thank you so much, Sandy. I know you don't comment all the time, but I do see you in there and I know you're in the group. So you are the winner this month. I'm pretty sure you know how to contact me, so just send me a message and I will get that coupon set up for you. So let's get started next with the finished objects. I usually like to start with my Desert Vista Dyework socks, and that is what we are going to do. And here they are. So I finished my July socks. So these were my birthday month socks. So I wanted to pick a color out just for me. And you know what? For the life of me, I just paused to think about it. I cannot remember what the color name of this is. So I will put it down on the screen there just so you can see. But I love how these turned out. So I just did my basic vanilla sock, and you can also see that I did where after I finished the first sock, I rewound the cake so that the stripes are going in the opposite direction. And then I did the second sock like that. So I just love how it makes them look like they're obviously a pair, but the stripes are just a little bit different, and also you don't have to worry about matching up your stripes because they're not going to match up exactly this way. So just to go over the construction a little bit, because I know I do have some new viewers and I haven't talked about my basic vanilla construction in a while. I used 2mm needles, and that's because I like a really nice tight fabric, and because of that I do tend to cast on more stitches than most people do with their socks. So I also like a looser leg and a tighter foot, so I cast on more for the top and then I decrease down for the foot. So for my perfect fit, I cast on 81 stitches and I do a 2x1 rib up here, and what I like to do is just do the ribbing for as long as one color repeat is. So as soon as I get back to that first color, I switch to stockinette. So with 81 stitches, I put 40 stitches on one side of my needles and 41 stitches on the other side. I do use magic loop, and then I knit the leg down for another complete color repeat. So you can see here, I started the leg on this pink stripe and then I knit down until I get to the pink stripe again. And then I start my heel increases. So here you can see the back of the sock. So this is where I start my increases here, and this is the side where I have 41 stitches. I'll knit 20, I'll purl that one extra stitch, and then I'll knit 20, and then on the next round is when I start doing my increases. And I like to do my increases in reverse stockinette so that I get these purl bumps. It just makes it really easy for me to see where I'm increasing, and also I just like how it looks. So I just do increases every other row, 2 stitches, until I get to where this section here is the same amount of stitches. Well, usually it's the same amount of stitches as your one side, but I do have a little bit more. So I usually do this until I get to about 35 or 36 stitches, and then I do the little heel turn there where you knit to the middle and you start going back and forth, working back towards the outside of the sock with your decreases. If you're familiar with sock making, you'll understand what I mean. If you're not familiar with sock making, I would encourage you to find a pattern, just a basic sock pattern, and go through it. I have mentioned before that I base my construction now on the Jangles pattern that I did, I think, about 2 years ago for one of my DVD socks, and I've since just changed it up so that it works for me and like how I can remember how to do it. The main difference is with how they did their decreases is after they did the little heel turn and they worked back and forth, at one point in the pattern you change where you're doing your decreases. So I do my decreases back and forth and then work towards the outside. They do that for a little bit and then I think they go to the outside and do the decreases out here. I believe that's what they did. It's been a while. But yeah, I've based it on that pattern, so if you want to get a starting point, I would encourage you to go have a look at that pattern, but this is kind of just how I've modified it for myself. So after I do my heel turn and I get my decreases done so that I'm back to around 35 or 36 stitches on each side, then I just keep going. Like I mentioned before, I do like my foot a little bit narrower than the leg of my foot. I like to have about 70 stitches. So if I don't decrease those somewhere up here, then usually I'll decrease them after I join in the round. So it depends on where I remember to do it, but all I know is that once I get down to working on the foot, I like to have 70 stitches here, so 35 on each side. And then I work for 50 rows, and then I do my little toe. So that's how I do my vanilla socks for me. If I'm knitting them for other people, I will change my numbers a little bit. Like if I'm knitting for any of my brothers because they have narrower legs than I do, I usually start with 72 stitches or so. If I'm knitting for my mom, it's probably going to be a smaller size as well because she's very petite. And then obviously the amount of rows that I knit after completing the heel will change depending on people's foot sizes. But yeah, so those were my July socks and I'm quite pleased with them. I have not worn them yet. I have not needed to. It's still quite warm here, but fall is a-coming. School is starting soon. Oh, I should have mentioned this in the beginning. School is starting soon. How many of you are excited about this? Usually every year, this is the time of year that we're so excited that the kids are going back. This year is just a little bit different. So I'm curious, let me know if you have kids who are school age and they're going back to school. I know some places in the States start in August, other places start in September. We start in September. Have they gone back? Are they doing distance learning? Are they in school? We start in September. Usually it's the day after Labor Day, so it's around September 7th or 8th or so. This year I've heard rumblings that they might start later just to finesse what's going to go on in terms of safety and stuff like that. We also had the option, we were asked to complete a survey and send that in for our school to indicate whether we plan on sending our child into the school or if we were going to do distance learning. So we did have the option. I chose to send Avery back to school based on what's going on in our immediate area. I feel comfortable doing that, but I did like how they gave us kind of 4 exit or entry points. So there's 4 times during the year. There's one in October, one in, I think, November, one in February, one in March, where if you chose to keep your child home, you can opt to have them sent back, or if you opted to have your child sent, like go to school, you could opt to have them come back home again, but you have to wait for those points. So the first one was in October. It's only a month. I figured, okay, you know what? Things are pretty good right now. She needs to get back to school in that kind of social environment and structured environment. Distance learning was a challenge for us. So because things are going pretty well right now, I figured at least 4 weeks, if we can get at least 4 weeks in there, and then we'll kind of see what happens. But yeah, that's what's going on here. She's not excited about it. She's kind of anxious with the whole thing, not only because it's a new grade, new teacher, new all that, but just with everything else. So I'm curious, did your kids go back? Are they home? What's going on? How's that going? But yeah, that was a little bit of a ramble. Let's get on to my second finished object, and I am so excited about this one, and I think you guys will be too, just based on when I've shown it. I've been getting a lot of positive responses about it, so I cannot wait to show this to you. So I finished my Wonder Woman tutu top. Check this out. I am so pleased with this. This pattern is based on, well, it's pretty much the tutu top by Frogginet Designs. The only thing I changed was just the color placement. I don't think I really altered the pattern in any way. I might have done the sleeves differently just because I kind of have a way that I like to do sleeves, and generally if I'm doing a top-down garment, once I start working on those sleeves, I just kind of do my own thing. But in terms of the construction and the finishing, so the neckline, you do an applied I-cord to go with the I-cord loop at the back, and there you can see my little Wonder Woman button that I made out of polymer clay. I'm really pleased with that. The other thing I did was the welt is done in the same color as the skirt and the pattern, I think. It's either done in the same pattern as the body or the skirt, but anyway, you usually only use 2 colors with this design, and I did the welt in a 3rd color just so it could mimic the Wonder Woman costume. I also used a sparkly yarn for the skirt, again, to mimic her costume. I did this in a size 6. I used size 4.5 needles, and it is all acrylic. So the red and the gold are Peyton's Canadiana, and then this is the Karen Simply Soft Party, I think. So yeah, it's all done. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I hope the sizing is okay. It seems big to me, but I also didn't want it to be I believe my friend's daughter, I didn't mention this just now, but I'm making this for my friend's daughter. I usually try and make her a sweater every year for her birthday. Her birthday's in June. I never finish it for June, but I usually get it done by the time she would need to wear a sweater in the fall. So she is, I think, 5. I think she turned 5 this year, 5 or 6. I don't know. I'm a bad friend. But I made the size 6 anyway, and I'm hoping that it won't be too huge on her. That's what I'm hoping. Anyway, I hope she likes it. I hope she still likes Wonder Woman. I forgot to check that, but the last little while she's really liked her. So yeah, I'm excited to give this to her. We actually saw them maybe a week and a half ago, but I didn't. I was going to try and push myself to have it done, and I just knew it wasn't going to get done for that visit. So I decided to just take my time, and then we're going to be seeing them, I think, one more time before school starts. So now I can put together her little Wonder Woman kind of birthday pack. So the only other thing I will mention about this is, I think in the last episode I talked about how I wanted to do a wider garter band down here to help just keep it flat, keep it from flipping. And after I finished it, it was flipping quite a bit, and I really wasn't happy with it, because I was like, I know once she has it, she's not a knitter, right? So she's not going to really know what to do with knitted fabric and how to kind of manage it. So I was kind of disappointed that it was still flipping, but what I ended up doing, because you can't really block acrylic the same way that you can block wool, but I did what I normally do with finished knits, because I never soak, I pretty much never soak them to block them, I just spray them. And so I thought I would try that with this as well. and I think it worked out pretty well. So I laid down a blanket, and then I have my ShamWows. They're not ShamWows, but they're like ShamWows. I lay one of those down, and then I put the sweater down, and I sprayed all the areas that I kind of wanted to finesse a little bit. So I sprayed around the neck. I wanted to stretch that just a little tiny bit and get it to lie flatter. So I sprayed the neckline, I sprayed the body a little bit, and then I really sprayed the hem of the skirt. And then I kind of moved things around and just got them the way I wanted them. I arranged the pleats a little bit, flattened out the hem. I put down another ShamWow, and then I put something heavy on top of that just to kind of press it. And I just left it to dry, and then once I took it out, it was all nice and pressed and fresh looking. So I'm excited to give that to her. I really hope her daughter likes it, but we will see, I guess. But that is kind of a momentous occasion for me, is finishing this project. I don't think I've been working on it too terribly long. I think I started it in June maybe, so I mean, it hasn't been on the needles for like a year or anything. But I am glad to have it done so that I can work on other things. And I did cast on something new that I will show you very shortly. So I think now we are going to get into my works in progress. And I'm going to start with my current Desert Vista Dyework socks. So these are my August socks, and I do know the name of this color. It's called My Favorite Possession. And these are going to be for myself as well. I was almost going to cast on the pair for the last pair that I need for brother socks. I think I only have one more brother who needs his Christmas socks, and then I'm done for gift socks. But I just really, really wanted to knit with this color. For me, this is just seems so summery, so bright, so fun. So I thought, you know what, my brother socks can wait till September. So yeah, this is my favorite possession, and I just love these colors. I'm doing it in the same kind of pattern that I just explained because these are for me. So I've got my 81 stitches, I'm knitting straight, I'm doing the, triangular shaped heel that I like, reverse stockinette, and I am on the foot. And you can see I've got my little markers there. Once I join in the round, because I do 50 rows before the toe, I just put a marker every 10 rows. And I think this is actually about 20 rows because I did not have a marker with me when I was working on this. I cannot believe that I am not done this first sock. I was on the foot. I had started the foot right around the middle of August, and I thought, perfect. Usually I can finish the foot in like a day or two. I'm going to have this first sock done by like August, maybe 16th, 17th at the latest, and then I will have the whole rest of the month to do the second sock. We are like, what's today? August 24th. I have about a week left of the month, and I am still working on this darn first sock. Now, granted, if I really sat down and worked on it today, I could finish this today. I think I have about 10 more rows, and then the toe. The toe doesn't take me more than maybe an hour or so. So I should be able to finish this today, get that second sock cast on, and then get moving on that so that I don't want to be up till late on the 31st. I don't like when it ends up being last minute, a last minute finish, but sometimes that's just the way it plays out. But hopefully I'm going to really try and get this done today so that I can get that second sock at least cast on. Once it's cast on, I find I can, put some good time into it, but yeah, if I don't cast it on right away, it might even be a few days before I do that, and I cannot lose any time at this point. So that is my August sock. I don't think I have anything else to say about those, but hopefully the next time I would love to record before the end of the month, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, hopefully I'll have those done. I'll have a finished pair to show you, and then I think I just have my last my new project, and then we have the update, and then yeah, that is it. So my new cast on, I have been just itching to cast on something. So I think I mentioned in the last, I don't know if it was the last episode, but it was when I was doing my last kind of goals, and I had said that one of my goals was going to be to cast on the sweater for my friend's new nephew that she asked me to make for Christmas. So that was in the plans, but then maybe a week or so ago I got a message from her, and He is younger than Kira, so I think he was born in May, so he's maybe a month and a half younger than she is, and she's saying that he's already wearing 6 to 12 month clothes. So she's like, if you haven't started yet, can we hold off? I just want to kind of figure out what size we should make, because originally I suggested to make the 12-month size because around Christmas time he was going to be around 6 months. So I was like, okay, well maybe I'll do the 12-month or maybe one size up. But now she just wants to hold off for a little bit because I'm like, I do need to start that soon and just try and figure out what the best size to make is. So I have not cast that on. And then I had another pattern that I wanted to make for Kira, but I wanted to start my friend's little sweater before I did that because I wanted to make sure I finished that one before Christmas. So since I had to hold off on starting his little sweater, I decided, you know what, I'm going to cast on the sweater that I want to make for Kira. And I have talked about this in previous episodes. The design, because I have changed things slightly, the design that I really liked the look of was pearls on a string. I think I always mess up the name. Anyway, I will put up a picture of it for you. But I just love how it had kind of the solid yolk and then the baubles and then the another color on the bottom. And I had showed you previously that I had like a gray picked out and then a peach. One of my hand-dyed worsted yarns, it was like a peach with a speckle, and I really wanted to use those to make that pattern. But Kira has also grown quite a bit, and I am not used to this with my children because Avery was always smaller than her age. So she always wore a smaller size. She was always on the smaller end. She always needed something very narrow. Even with knits as she grew, I would always make I usually make one size less. So like she's 8 now, I would make a size 6 and just adjust the lengths. Well, she just recently turned 4 months old, and she is very comfortably fitting into 6 to 9 month old clothing. So the yarn that I had picked out previously would work for, I think, that size. But once you went up to the next size, you would need more of that second color. And I also only had like a half skein of the yolk color. And so I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to make a size that's just going to fit her like right now and then she's not going to be able to get much use out of it. And I don't want to make, anyway. The original yarn that I picked out wasn't going to totally work, so I had to go through my stash. I had to pick out something else, and I also decided to change up the pattern a little bit. I was very tempted to purchase the string of pearls pattern, but one of the goals on my bingo card this year is to use patterns, so many patterns, I think 5 of that I already have. And so I thought, you know what, the part that I really like about that pattern is that little accent row with the baubles. Do I have something in my collection already that I can kind of use as a structure and then put that kind of visual element into? That way I'm using something that I have. It can work towards my bingo card and I don't have to purchase a new pattern. So that is what I ended up doing. So I went through my pattern library and I ended up finding the pattern Conscious, and it is specifically designed for if you have one special skein of gradient yarn. You can use that at the top and then you use a contrasting color for the rest of the sweater. And that is what I did. Now I'm still kind of playing with yarn quantity, but I will explain that in a moment. This is what I have started so far. So this purple color here, I only had one skein of this in my stash, but I had a full skein. And this is by Diversion. Oh goodness, my memory. I should probably have written this down first. I will put that on the screen as well. It's a local dyer, but I'm not sure if she dyes yarn anymore. But I've had this in my stash for quite some time, and I thought that would make for a really pretty yolk color. And then the other color, I think I actually had these 2 yarns kind of put together in my stash. They were both caked, which is why I wasn't 100% sure of what yarn that was, but that is listed in my Ravelry stash, so I was able to confirm it. This is not listed in my Ravelry stash, So I'm guessing that this is hedgehog fibers in their DK weight that I got in kind of a mystery bag. So I had these two yarns caked and put together. So I think I wanted to do a project with them. And so I decided to use that one for the contrast at the bottom. And so yeah, I cast this on. I used all the numbers in the conscious pattern, but I did end up changing things up a little bit for this little accent row. I first did try to do baubles. I used some of my stitch books that have the instructions for baubles, and I tried to do a bauble, and I just didn't like how it looked. So I looked through my other stitch books to see if I could find something, and what I ended up finding was this here. So alternating pearls, that's what this stitch pattern here is called, and I liked that it was still kind of like bumpy, like baubles, but it wasn't as sticky outy. The baubles that I was doing were really kind of, anyway, they really stuck out. I really didn't like them. I also didn't like making them because you had to do all this stuff. These were a lot faster to make, and I figured it would still give me kind of the look of a bauble, just that textural kind of element without being a full-on bubble. So I had to play around with my placement, and that's the one thing that I would probably change if I were to do this again. It doesn't bother me enough to rip this out. So what you do to make these little stitches here is you knit to where you want to place one. You take 3 stitches, put it on a cable needle, wrap your yarn around at the base 6 or 7 times, and then you knit off. So you can either put those stitches back and knit them, or knit off the cable needle. I put them back on my needle, but then you knit those stitches and you get kind of this little bump. One of the things that I really liked about the pearls pattern is that those baubles kind of lay right between where the 2 colors were. And so in order to do that, I would have had to have done this stitch, I think 1 row down, just so that it was a little further. But like I said, it doesn't bother me enough to redo it. I still like that it's kind of this subtle texture. It's not too in your face. It's just kind of something a little extra. And this stitch was much easier to do than baubles. So I've kind of laid out what I did on the project page if you want something that's a little more coherent than what I am doing now. But this is what I have so far. So I have the whole top done. I've got the stitches taken off for the sleeves. I've got the little button band. Now I don't think I'm going to need to use this as a button band because the neckline is quite stretchy. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is actually stitch this down. I found some really cute buttons from my button stash. I'll put a little picture in of those. I think I'm going to stitch this down and then just stitch the buttons on because I don't think it needs to be opened to fit over her head. But yeah, I forgot to mention, I am doing the size 12 to 18 months. Based on her chest measurement and just the fact that she's already wearing kind of 6 to 9 month clothing, and then by the time it's actually cool enough to wear a sweater and layer with sweaters, she's probably going to be at least maybe 1 size up from that. So I figured this was a safer bet, and because I only have the 2 balls, and we have one of this, one of this. I'm not worried about this. But for the 12 to 18 month, you needed 1.5 of the color for the main part of the sweater, and I only have 1 of these. So what I'm going to do is, now that I have done the whole yoke part and taken the sleeves off, I'm going to work from the other end of the ball to finish the sleeves, and I'm going to do all the cuffs and the hem I'm going to do in this color here because I have quite a bit of it left. So it's going to have contrast cuffs, a contrast hem. I'm going to do the sleeves next, and then once I'm done the sleeves, I'm going to use all the rest of that speckled yarn for the body. So I should be able to use all of that yarn, and I should be able to get a pretty decent size out of it. It might be a little cropped, but I don't think it will be. And yeah, I think it will end up being a nice size. And she's going to be layering it anyway, so I'm not really worried if it's a little bit of a shorter sweater. So that is my new project, and I'm really, really pleased with it. I actually just cast that on, I think, Saturday, so that's 2 days of work. That's not bad. I didn't think I was going to have this done by the end of the month, but it is quite possible that I can finish that project by the end of the month. So that is all I have in terms of what I've been working on. So now we are going to do a quick goals update, and then I will pop in the little Kira video at the end. So Kira just woke up, but one of the nice things about having a big sister is that I was able to send Avery upstairs, and she will happily entertain her for the next 10 minutes or so that I need to just finish this off. So she's up there doing that. Let's get started with my goals update. I can pretty much tell you right now, July was a complete bust. My goals for July were to finish my July DVD socks. That I did. I wanted to finish the tutu top. I did not finish that in July, but I just did, so that's still good. I wanted to finish the Cumulus sweater. I did not, and oh my goodness, I just realized that I forgot to bring that over and show you my progress on it. I did knit on the Cumulus sweater. I'm still on the first sleeve, but I made a pretty good dent on it this past week. I'm not going to go get it, but anyway, maybe I'll just put in a little picture and show you from where I was and where I am now, because really it's not all that exciting. But my goal was to finish the Cumulus sweater. That did not happen, obviously, and then I wanted to start the Cowaway, which was the little sweater that I was going to make for my friend's nephew, and obviously I did not start that because we are figuring out sizes. So I decided I wasn't going to make a goals list for August because really there's a week left, so why not? Like, why bother? So I made some goals for September, and then I'll just have this little extra time to work on those. So my goals for September are to finish my September, obviously my August and September DVD socks, finish the Cumulus. I think I can do it based on what I was able to put into the sleeve in one evening. I think maybe 1 or 2 evenings I worked on it this week. I think I can do it if I really try. So I am going to try and finish the Cumulus. And also, if Avery's back at school, then I might have a little more time to myself during the day. So I think I can do it. So I want to try and finish the Cumulus. I want to get back to the exploration station. Do you guys even remember that project? Oh my goodness. I don't think I've touched that since last November, so we're coming up to a year, and we're getting back to the weather that will be perfect for wearing it. So I want to try and get back to it. And I know one of the things that's holding me up is that if you've knit this pattern before, it's not just something that you can really kind of pick up and just get back into. You have to reread the pattern, you have to figure out what section you're on, you have to figure out what that section is doing. There's a lot of brain work. And so I think that's why I've held off, but I want to get back to it because I want to finish that. I love the yarns that I'm using. I love that pattern. I love that I'm making like a DK worsted weight version, so it's going to be super big and snuggly. So yeah, I want to get back to the exploration station. And then finally, I just wrote down baby sweater, and I think I meant I either want to finish the one that I'm working for Kira, or I want to start the one for my friend's nephew. I just want to do something with a baby sweater. So if I finish the one for Kira, I might finish that in August. We'll have to see. I might be overly ambitious right now, but I might finish that in August. And if I do, then for September, I would like to start the sweater for my friend's little nephew. So that is all the knitting and updates I think I have for you. So the last thing I'm going to throw in here is just a little video of Kira for those who might be interested in seeing a little update. She is doing so well. She had her 4-month appointment around the middle of August, and she is just gaining weight like nothing. She is growing like a little weed. Even the doctor, I think she grew 7 centimeters in 2 months. And the doctor was like, wow, that's a lot. You know, she's really growing. So that is excellent. It's such a different feeling not worrying about how your baby is growing, because with Avery, we had such a slow start with her. After 3 weeks, we were in the hospital because she wasn't gaining weight. And then every appointment after that, it was just like this. She just didn't gain weight, and she didn't grow. Well, she grew, but like, there was always that kind of like, is she eating enough? Is she, doing all the things that she needs to do? And it's just completely different with Kira. She's just growing like I said, she's just growing like a little weed. I am absolutely not concerned about how much she is eating and what she's doing and her development, all that stuff. So anyway, I have a little video that I took a couple of weeks ago that I just think is really cute and that you might enjoy. Basically, what we do not do bath time as a before bed kind of routine. It's just something I didn't do it with Avery, and I'm not doing it with Kira either. But Kira really loves to kind of splash around. So what I started doing was after she was, had her bedtime bottle, and after, we kind of, did our book and our little bit of playing and stuff, right before I put her in her PJs and get her all settled down for the night, I just put some water in the sink in my bathroom, and I just sit her on the edge and I give her about 10-15 minutes or so where she can kind of just splash her little feet, and she just loves it. And so I decided one day to kind of set up my camera along the mirror there, just so that, I could capture her joy, because as soon as she's in the bathroom, I just have to bring her into the bathroom right now, and she just recognizes everything and knows what's going to happen, and her face lights up, and she just loves it so much. So I thought that would be a cute little video to share. So I'm going to pop that in on the end here. But other than that, that is it for now. I hope you had a fabulous past few weeks. I hope you have a really great upcoming week. Until the next time, hopefully I will talk to you soon. Bye.